How to create a budget. Overview. Today you will learn how to create a personal budget. You will be given steps to create a budget, opportunities to practice those skills, and then will be asked to create your own based on your expected income, expenses, and lifestyle post your K through 12 schooling experience. Creating and implementing a budget can help support your personal financial goals in the future. Objective. By the completion of this instruction, you will be able to interpret components of a budget, plan a budget based on personal income and expenses, and create a personal budget. What is a budget? A budget is a spending plan based on one's income and expenses. Poor money management skills can negatively impact one's credit score, ability to buy a home or a car, and can cause overall financial hardship. Creating and following a budget can help you set long-term financial goals and prevent overspending. Steps. Number 1, identify your income. How much money will you acquire annually and/or monthly? 2, determine your required and desired expenses. Required could be rent, bills, utilities like water or electricity, transportation, insurance, food, and other bills. Desired could be subscription services, memberships, travel, shopping, eating out, or saving for large purchases. 3, subtract expenses Example scenario. Abby is a 19-year-old female who works at Pop's Pizza Restaurant 5 days a week and makes approximately $2,500 a month after taxes. She pays $100 a month for health insurance. She lives in an apartment with a required monthly rent payment of $550 and pays a required additional $50 for utilities such as electricity and water. She rides the train to and from work, which costs $4.40 per day round trip. Step 1. Identify total income. Monthly, Abby earns approximately $2,500 a month from her job at Pop's Pizza Restaurant. Annually, $2,500 times 12 for 12 months equals $30,000 a year. Step 2. Determine required and desired expenses. Required: rent for $550, utilities $50, insurance $100, transportation $4.40 for a daily ride times 20 for days a month to work equals $88, food $150. Desired: cell phone $45, Kindle subscription $10, and Abby is saving for a car. Step 3. Subtract expenses from income. Abby's total income: rent, utilities, insurance, transportation, food, cell phone, Kindle subscription, and savings for car are all listed here in this table. Added together, her total expenses equal $1,293. Her total after spending would be $1,207. If her budget is followed, Abby will have approximately $1,207 left over for Step 4. Track your expenses. Throughout the month, Abby should track her spending to determine if she is properly following her budget and if she is continuing to allocate appropriate funding for her required and desired expenses. Let's try it together. For the following scenario, answer the guiding questions to practice implementing the required steps to create a budget. Example scenario. Scott is a 20-year-old male who is in the Army Reserves. He makes $3,200 a month after taxes, and his job covers his health insurance. Scott rents a house with a roommate, and they split the $1,000 a month rent, which includes utilities. Scott has a car that his parents bought him when he turned 16, and he pays a monthly $114 for car insurance. He pays for his own gas, which usually costs him about $40 a week to. Step 1. Identify total income. Monthly, Scott earns approximately $3,200 monthly from his job with the Army Reserves. Annually, $3,200 times 12 for 12 months equals $38,400. Step 2. Determine required and desired expenses. Required: rent, $500, which is $1,000 divided by 2 for 2 roommates. Car insurance, $114. Gas for car, $40 times 4 for weeks per month equals $160. And groceries, $300. Desired: gym membership for $100 and eating out, $250. Step 3. Subtract expenses from income. Scott's total income is approximately $3,200. Listed in this table are the amounts for his rent, car insurance, gas for his car, groceries, gym membership, and eating out. Now it's your turn to give it a try. Calculate the total amount of expenses Scott will pay per month based on the information given and put it in the section for total expenses. Step 2. Calculate the amount Scott will have left over monthly. Answers and other thoughts to consider. If you calculated correctly, Scott should have approximately $1,424 in total expenses. After spending, Scott should have approximately $1,776 left over. Questions to consider. What are other possible expenses Scott should consider allocating money for? What other purchases could Scott save for with his money left over after spending? Step 4. Track your expenses. Throughout the month, Scott should track his spending to determine if he is properly following his budget and if he is continuing to allocate appropriate funding for his required and desired expenses. It's your turn. Follow the 4 steps and guiding questions to practice creating and implementing your own budget. Step 1. Identify your income. Consider possible jobs you may be interested in and research their average income. Some of the following tools may support you in determining the average salary. Check out the websites listed below, including the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, Glassdoor, and Indeed to determine your Step 2. Determine required and desired expenses. Required. Consider the following expenses and your possible needs when living independently. Include at least 3 of the following areas in your budget. Housing. Where will you live? What utility payments are required, such as water, electricity, or others? You may need to research homes or apartments in your area to determine a possible rent or mortgage payment. Use websites such as Zillow, apartments.com, or rent.com to find apartments. Step 2. Determine required and desired expenses. Desired. There are a variety of desired expenses you could include in your budget. Consider what aspects are important to you and what you would want to allocate money for. Include at least 3 of the following areas in your budget. Education, community college or university tuition. Shopping, clothes, electronics, etc. Pets, home necessities and/or home maintenance. Gifting, traveling expenses. Step 3. Subtract expenses from income. Use the following template to input your total possible income, required and desired expenses, calculate your total expenses, and calculate your total after spending. Remember, everyone's budget is different. What you determine is needed to support your lifestyle is specific to you and your needs. The 2 most important things to remember are: you must ensure your total income covers all expenses. You should always have some money left over after. Step 4. Track your expenses. Once you implement your budget, you should track spending to determine you are properly following your budget and if you are allocating appropriate funding for your required and desired expenses. Let's recap. 1. A budget is a spending plan based on one's income and expenses, which can help you set long-term financial goals and prevent overspending. 2. There are 4 steps to creating and implementing a budget, including identifying your income, determining your required and desired expenses, subtracting expenses from your income, and finally tracking your expenses and spending to determine if your budget is effective. 3. You read examples and practice calculating. Any questions? For more information about budgeting and personal finance, check out these resources. Khan Academy has several units on personal finance and budgeting. You can also read NerdWallet's article on Budgeting 101 or research Practical Money Skills, which has many articles on the basics of budgeting, saving, and even has access to budgeting calculators. For further questions about this instructional module, contact me, Erin Burgner, at eburgner@un